Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thanks for joining me for another video. This is my Quita from At Home with Quita, and here I share tips on how to plan a balanced life. So if you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to make more useful to-do lists. If you're anything like me, you love list making. I know I am very guilty of making multiple lists. It just helps me to stay organized and on task. So I'm going to be sharing with you my 5-step process. So let's get into it. So you have many tasks that you could tackle each day, but if you take the time to really prioritize, you'll be able to take on your most important tasks and enjoy a sense of accomplishment and productivity. So I am going to grab some inserts from the back of my planner here that are going to help me most in making this to-do list. I make a to-do list every single week for the upcoming week. Anything that doesn't get accomplished or completed gets transferred or moved to the next week. So there's a couple of places that I look to jog my memory in terms of being able to make an effective to-do list. One is I'm going to look on the previous planner week just to see if there's any tasks that I wasn't able to complete that I need to transfer to this week. So I look on my planner spread and I just scan it just to see what I didn't check off. Any of those items are some of the things that are going to go into my to-do list. Another place that I look is in my meal planning section. I come here, I look at my meals for the week, and I see if there's any prep work or anything that I need to do associated with those meals. Another section I look in is routines. I look at all of my routines for the week. I have several. I have a morning, afternoon, evening routine. Now we'll be having to implement an after-school routine. I also have a cleaning routine, a work routine, faith, and self-care. And that's all done throughout different times of the day based on my routine. So within the morning, afternoon, evening routine, you'll see the afternoon routine. You'll see the cleaning routine. You'll see different routines scheduled throughout these main routines. I do have a video on my channel explaining my whole process for this, so make sure to check that out. All I'm doing is sharing with you some sections within my planner that I look to kind of jog my memory to make sure that I'm not missing anything, in addition to just memory and knowing some things that I need to make sure that I'm getting done. I also look at my budget section. Are there any bills coming up that I want to make sure that I don't forget about? I am going to write that all on my to-do list. Fitness is another thing. I'll come here. Mainly, it's going to be things that are scheduled out when it comes to faith, but if there's anything that I need to prep for it, fitness-wise or anything like that, I again, put it on my to-do list. Same thing for faith, school, and self-care. Those are all sections that I'm going to dig into to make sure that I am writing out every single thing that I need to do for my to-do list. And so that is a part of the first step in the process. You want to make sure that you write out those things that you need to do first. So when considering all of these different sections, like I mentioned, make sure to write in things that you know you need to get done first, or they're more urgent than other things. And so that is anything that is of high priority that is beyond the basics. And also, don't overwrite on this list. Anything that you always do every day does not belong on a to-do list. It belongs on your weekly planner pages. You want to make sure that you schedule those things out. So I like to write in some subjects here at the top because I want to make sure that I'm tracking things properly. So I'm going to write to-do list. And I want to take a note of a deadline that may be associated with it. And whether it was completed. Another thing that you'll want to think about is what your goals are for the week. And that's going to help you to achieve your long-term goals. So think about what you could do this week that will get you one step closer to achieving those goals, and put them on the list so that way it'll help you to achieve them. So we're doing two things here. We're scanning our planner to see all of the things that we need to get done and tasks and to-do list items associated with those things. And then we are going to write our goals in to make sure that we are on track with those as well. So something to keep in mind when you're making this to-do list is to keep it short. Now, I find that this is the most difficult step in this process. But you know, some experts say that our daily to-do list should have no more than 3 tasks on them. Now, I'm not so sure about that because I have a ton of things that most certainly are way more than 3 tasks. Apparently, as humans, we can only look at about 7 to 8 items on a list without getting so overwhelmed that we want to call it quits and spend the day watching Netflix. Now for me, I have way more than 3 to 5 items, so we are going to take note of that. Thank you so much to the expert that developed that theory, but I have too many things and I do want to write it all out here. So we by no means can only write a to-do list of 3 to 5 items. That is not realistic for me, but do what works for you. Experiment with a smaller to-do list that includes no more than 7 tasks on it, ideally even less if you go according to that theory, and see if your productivity improves. And also try to break tasks down and write them as a specific action item. Now, this is a great technique. Certain tasks on your to-do list are either too vague or too big for you to act on effectively. But breaking that task down and writing it as an action makes it much easier for you to push through your inner resistance. You know, when you think, I don't want to do that, it's too hard, I'm too tired, I worked hard yesterday, and all of those things you say to yourself. So write them in the form of an action step and see how much more inclined you are to take immediate action on that task. So break the task down into individual steps and write the first step that needs to be completed on your to-do list. It's much more likely that you'll actually get this done. And also add generous time estimates. By adding generous time estimates to the task on your to-do list, planning your day becomes that much more easier. And I put emphasis on the generous part of that. When you are rushed for time and you're staring a looming deadline in your face, the stress and frustration mounts. One purpose of the to-do list is to lessen your stress and frustration. So add 15 or 20 minutes to your time estimates, no matter what. Then you have some breathing room and maybe even a little extra time at the end of the day that can be used to work towards goals or get ahead for tomorrow. Plus, y'all, tasks always take longer to complete than you expected. I also come over to my brain dump section. I did do a video on a full brain dump and how to execute that successfully. So through this process, what you're doing is sitting down, having a session, and thinking about all the things that you need to get out of your head and onto paper via a brain dump. So once you do that, this is the next step in the process, your to-do list. So you're going to create your to-do list based on all of those things. Also on this brain dump insert set, you have a now, soon, later, and if time. So typically my to-do list is going to come from the now and the soon. I'm going to schedule some things out on my planner, and then whatever remains goes on my to-do list. So now that I have everything written out and gathered from all of those different places in my planner, this is my full to-do list for the week. Every single thing that I want to make sure that I get done is here, and I'm going to make a valiant effort to get these things done during that week. So in terms of the deadline, you are going to go ahead and write in when that item needs to be done by, the absolute last deadline day that it needs to be done by. Again, I'm going to try to get it done during the week, but I still want to have a deadline here so that way I can make sure that I know the last possible date that it can be completed. Otherwise, whatever the consequences are going to happen. I'm not sure what that would be for you, but for some things, especially if they're work tasks, it could be, you know, getting in trouble with your boss. So you want to make sure to write in that deadline so that way you know when that needs to be completed by. And then the last section here, if you're going to pop this in your planner, would just be to write in the date of completion or just put a check mark there. And so that is the next step in this process, and that is to prioritize. Now, there are hundreds of different strategies for prioritizing tasks, so experiment with those that appeal to you until you find the one that is going to work the best. And one tip to remember is to be realistic. Now, this is probably the biggest lesson that has helped me and my productivity immensely. And as it turns out, the evening me and the morning me don't have a lot in common. So while the evening me is ready to tackle big projects in a single day, the morning me is pretty realistic in saying that it just can't be done. So for me, I have to be realistic in terms of when I am most productive, and that is when I schedule schedule those things. So you want to be mindful of the time in which you want to complete the tasks and also the date that you want to schedule those tasks to be completed. So just remember to be realistic and do what works for you and what's going to make you the most productive for that day. And so when it comes to prioritization, make sure to list your chosen items, whether it's going to be 3 to 5, 3 to 7, or a full to-do list like I'm writing in. Do those items in order of importance and urgency. Put the most important ones at the top or the most urgent ones. And these are tasks that have the biggest consequences if you don't achieve them. List the rest of your tasks in decreasing priority order. Prioritizing is the number one way to ensure that you have a successful week. And unfortunately, there are only 24 hours in a day. So know how you want to use your time and how to prioritize it to achieve your goals. All right, so I've assigned a deadline to everything that has a deadline. And again, I tried to keep it within this month, so I'm really going to make a real effort to get all of this stuff done. And I'm going to feel such a sense of accomplishment when I do. So there are other things on the to-do list that I didn't assign a date to because I'm not sure when I want to complete them during the month. And that happens. Sometimes you just don't know. And so some of these items that have a date on them are going to go on my weekly schedule. I'm going to go ahead and assign them to a day. And some things I'm not, because this is the actual deadline for it. So it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be done on this day. It just needs to be done before this day. So I want to make sure that I schedule those on my planner as well. And so everything has a deadline. And then once I complete it, I'm going to come here and add the date here or just check it off as completed. So you have your list pretty much completed. So the next step is pretty self-explanatory, and that is to take action. And action doesn't just mean actually doing the items. It also means actively using the list. So cross things off as you finish them, reprioritize if needed, and add items as the week goes on. If you're like me, my list tends to get messier and messier as the week goes on, and that is perfectly okay. So staying involved with your list ensures that you stay on top of your goals. It also helps to ensure you don't end up forgetting important things. And you guys, make sure you keep the list somewhere you'll actually see it on a daily basis. And this is the same if your list is on your phone. If you don't regularly go into the Notes app, then make it a screensaver, which is a great idea. If you prefer to write the list on pen and paper like we're doing today, then use a magnet and put it on your fridge, or you can put it on your nightstand, or you can do just like me and pop it in your planner for the week. You just have to make sure you're opening your planner on a daily basis to check in with your to-do list. That is important. And that is the only way you're going to be able to take action on these things that you wrote in on your to-do list. The next thing is to make sure you are focused, okay? For decades, multitasking has been glorified, and our attention spans have suffered because of it. Now, I have mentioned this in a previous video about multitasking and why you should not multitask and how it definitely affects your productivity. So throw multitasking out the window right now. Start developing your focus and attention. Use a timer and work on one task with no interruptions for 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 20, then 25. You're constantly improving. Yes, that means you need to close your email windows and turn off your phone and social media notifications. So find the ideal length of time for your attention span, work with it, and build it. And in no time, you'll be knocking out those tasks more quickly and have more time for bigger goals, more fun, and more family time. The last important step for writing weekly to-do lists is make sure that you learn from your to-do list the week before. This is so you can constantly improve your time management and productivity. So the last thing is to improve each week. Make sure you're getting better. If something isn't working, stop doing it and start implementing something that may work. Test it out until you get it right. A lot of this is pretty simple, but can seriously help you make the most of your days. So if you put way too much on your list one week, then you know for the next week to be more realistic. If you completed everything halfway through the week, then you know that you need to add more. It can take a little time while trying to figure this out, but you have to find out what works for you. And it is totally worth it to get organized and take control of your time. And so this is how a typical to-do list would look for me for the week. I have my to-do list items here. I have my deadline in which they need to be completed. The ones that don't have a deadline here are just going to be sprinkled throughout my task list, which goes here in my planner. So I'm going to write things in on the daily schedule based on when they need to be done. Of course, there are so many different methods for time management, to-do lists and all of that. I did talk about brain dumping. That is a part of the process as well that you could implement along with this strategy that I'm sharing with you today. You could only do a brain dump and kind of do as I mentioned in the video yesterday, transfer that stuff from the brain dump directly onto here, schedule it and add it to your tasks. Or you can brain dump it all out, then start your to-do list process, because some of those things may stay on the brain dump list until you're actually able to schedule them out. Keep that in your planner and then use that as a foundation to be able to create a to-do list for that specific week. There's so many different ways to do it. I'm just sharing with you kind of some things that worked for me and that I am constantly implementing, so that way I can see what's going to work long term. And as my needs change, I change with that. So that way I can make sure that I'm always the most effective for what's going on in my life and how I plan, so that I can be the most productive that I can be. And so this would stay inside my planner for the week, and I would just start writing in the completed date as I complete them if I want to go that route, or I would write them in here, and as I'm completing them here, I would check it off. So this is my weekly schedule, and then these are where the to-do list items will come into play. I would write them here on the tasks. And again, we're trying to get all of this done, and that's why it's important to assign a deadline, so that way if you see that it has some urgency to it, it's more likely that you'll complete it within that time frame. So this is how I create my to-do list, you guys. It helps me to stay so much more organized by having a to-do list every single week. And as things need to be added to it, of course, I'll add it here or in my brain dump section. But typically, if it pertains to this week, I'm going to add it here. The brain dump is literally just a session where you sit and get everything out of your head. So just to go over those steps again, you're going to start creating your master to-do list, including the things that you need to get done first and your goals. The second step is to prioritize. Make sure that you keep it short and you're specific, and you add time estimates if you'd like. The next thing is to prioritize that. Make sure that you're setting a deadline so that you can get that completed within that time frame, and you want to prioritize from stuff that you want to get done during that week but aren't necessarily as urgent as the other things. Then you want to take action. After that, we've got to focus, make sure that we are not multitasking all of the time. Stay focused on that task and get that done before you move on to the next task. And then you want to make sure that you are constantly improving every single week. If something about this list isn't working, take note of that and make sure that you change that for the next week to make sure that you are more effective. So that is it, guys. That is how I create my to-do list. Hopefully this has helped you in some way and you have figured out a new strategy to become more productive and get more done. So I have some exciting news. We are doing a giveaway as a part of this video as well. So make sure to check below to get all of the details on how you can enter to win some planner goodies. So let me share with you what those items are. These are all items from Tombow. I absolutely love Tombow. I am a part of their ambassador team, so from time to time they do send me things. And so I've got lots of goodies here that I'm going to be giving away. So the first thing is this creative notebook kit. It's got everything in here that you need to make your notes pop. We all want our notes to pop, right? So that's everything that's included in this note-taking kit. We also have some love notes. I thought these were super cute, and so it comes with a ton of variety of love notes. Next up, we have a watercolor set. So this is going to help you be able to do some watercoloring in your planner. We've got a notebook here from Tombow. It is line grid. And then we've got some die cuts from Bloom Daily Planners. These are so cute. So this is everything that's included. It's a positivity sticker pack. They are die cut stickers. Then more stickers. Don't we all love stickers? 475 stickers, sticker sheets from Bloom Daily Planners, and then a full-on planner for 2021-2022. You could use this for your regular general planning, or you could use this for school planner. We do have back to school coming up soon. And so this is partly at the end of 2021 and some of 2022. So this is a super pretty planner with some gold foil. So this is a part of the giveaway as well. So I'm going to split them up for 2 giveaway winners. I'll make sure there's an even number to go around, and you can enter to win by clicking on the link below and following the prompts in order to make sure that you can get your name entered into the drawing to potentially win these goodies. I also wanted to share with you guys this beautiful Notique cover that I know you've been eyeballing throughout this whole video. I haven't come on here yet to share that with you guys. I did go on my social media, Instagram, to share with you guys this new cover that I had purchased with my own money from Notique. Although she does gift things from time to time, I do want to support her shop as well. You know, things cost money. And so it's a beautiful quilted cover in half letter. And it is more of a stiffer leather, and so I have been loving using this. It really helps when writing to have a little bit of a stiffer leather to be able to kind of prop your pages up again. So I like going back and forth between the stiffer and the not so stiffer. So it has the same sort of layout, pockets on the side, and then when you get to the back, it's got a pin loop, just like all the other Notique planners. I found that it was a little bit more narrow, so I removed my highlighter from the side. It was on the side, and I put it on the bottom, and that works out perfectly. What was happening is that my pin was smashing up against it because it was sitting here, and it was making it to where I couldn't close the planner. So now I have it at the bottom. You guys have a problem with pins. I love pins. So this is my mild liner, and then I have my Sharpie S-Gel, and then at the top I have my Paper Mate Flare, and they are all essentials for me in my planner, so I like to keep them all there. So now it closes perfectly, and it is just stunning. So I definitely wanted to come on here because I know you've been seeing it throughout this video and you probably had some questions. It's got the rose gold hardware, and so this is what I'll be using for, I don't know, until I change my mind and I want to grab something else. So I thought I would share that with you as well. So thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. I hope you found a way that you can make your to-do list a little bit better. Hopefully this has helped you in some way. And so you'll give me a thumbs up on this video. You'll consider subscribing to my channel if you're new here, and you'll come back by and catch another video, in which case I'll see you guys then.